Hello and welcome to Cutter Builds. Last time we got our coal power up and running here, and so today it's time to finally start working on getting a more permanent factory set up. Now, before we do that though, we've made a few changes off camera here, done a little bit of running around, just trying to keep things moving here. We're going to do a few things off camera, some of the more monotonous stuff. But one of the things that we did was clear out the monsters that were surrounding this area here. And so if I recall right, there is a hard drive box up here somewhere. Maybe it's up on top of the hill here. Let's see if we can jump up here. There we go. And so in order to open this drop pod, we need rotors, which we have now, and we need 10 megawatts of power. So let's go ahead and grab some power real quick. Looks like I've got some room here, and I can run that right to this box. And now we should be able to open this up and grab another hard drive. And so we'll be able to research some alternate recipe in the MAM with that. And then, just because we don't want to waste the cable, we're going to go ahead and disconnect that again. So let's get lined up here and head back on up to our base. So let's go ahead and toss this hard drive into the MAM. We've got one here to scan. That's going to take about 10 minutes. And while that's going, let's go look at one of the other things that we've done here with the base since last time. And so if you recall, we were up here and had been creating some rotors and some different parts up here. We've moved a bunch of these assemblers out of the way now, and so we've got this one set up here creating these reinforced iron plates because these are needed to make our Mark II belts and a bunch of other stuff down the road here. And we have tons of iron plates and wire, and so I've just got a couple of containers here that I filled up with iron plates and wire, and so we're gonna just top these off as long as we're here and go pick up some more raw materials just to keep that thing running. We're gonna need as many reinforced iron plates as we can get our hands on. So here we've got more than enough of these copper wires, so I'm just gonna grab a couple more stacks of that, and we'll head back down here and pick up some iron plates. Now, the other change that we've made here is up next to our copper factory. We have set up these two assemblers to essentially build rotors full-time. Rotors require screws and iron rods, and so you can see here we've got a storage container here that is feeding iron rods into all of these constructors to make screws, and then we have containers on either side of the assemblers to hold iron rods to produce rotors. And so you can see I've made quite a few rotors while we've done other exploring and such, and so we're actually in a decent spot for rotors right now. Once we get our permanent base set up, we will be turning this into something self-sustaining, as rotors are a core component for a lot of other things down the tech tree. So with that, let's go ahead and head back down here, and I think we're pretty much ready to start in on steel production here. So we're gonna go ahead and send this on its way. And so if we pull open the milestones here, looking at tier 3 steel production that we just unlocked, that's gonna give us the foundry, which will allow us to combine different resources into alloy ingots. In our case, we're looking to make steel, which comes from combining iron and coal. The other things that it lets us do is make steel beams and steel pipes, which are going to be very useful as we move into making the second project part here, which is the versatile framework. And before we start cranking these out, we really want to get our permanent factory set up, because we're going to need a ton of these to get the next tier of our space elevator going. Moving on to tier 4 here, let's take a quick look at what's available. So we are going to need to start making some steel pipes before we're able to unlock advanced steel. However, it looks like we could actually move forward with the improved melee combat, which also gives us a hand slot and some inventory slots in addition to a better melee weapon, which is cool. We're going to need steel to get hyper tubes unlocked, as well as to get logistics Mark III unlocked. So we might as well select this milestone here and collect these materials real quick while we're getting everything set up here. So while we wait for our 2 research counters to run down, let's actually take a look at something else that we unlocked, which is the tractor. This is the first vehicle that we're able to get access to, and it has some inventory and a craft bench, and is going to be kind of useful for just going out and exploring the map. And so we're going to go ahead and make one of these just to try it out and give ourselves a little bit of ability to bring some materials out with us to maybe establish the start of our new base. So we're going to need, it looks like 5 beacons in order to do this. So we're going to go ahead and get those crafted up real quick. And then we're going to come out here and create 1 tractor. And just like that, we're good to go. We've got a workbench on the back here where I can put my fuel and put everything into it, and it also operates as a crafting bench. So we're going to be able to make things out in the wild as we're moving around, which is also going to be key to starting up our base. And so some of the materials that a base is going to take is definitely lots of concrete here. And so we're going to load up some concrete. I'm also going to load up some of these reinforced plates and some regular iron plates, just because I know we're going to need some of these materials when we're trying to build some things. So I'm just dumping a little bit of miscellaneous stuff into here that I know we're going to need, and I'm going to go get a whole bunch of concrete because I know we're going to need concrete to make all of the foundations and walls and such for our factory. And so I'm going to take my full inventory here of concrete and dump what I can into the truck here to bring with us. Now, the other thing we're going to need is fuel for the truck. And so for that, we're going to go grab some coal. And so the quickest way to get coal is going to be to just literally rob a couple of stacks right out of the generators here. We have enough capacity coming in on the belt that those should catch themselves back up here at some point without destroying our power grid, hopefully. And so we're back up here at the base, and it looks like our MAM research has completed. And since I am super curious to see what our recipes are, we're going to open this up here. And I'm not particularly interested in either copper wire or copper alloy ingot recipes at this stage. I think we're going to go for the fused quick wire because copper's really common, and Caterium could be a bottleneck for us, especially right now while we're manually creating it. And so I think that's going to be the recipe of choice. We take a quick look at the MAM. I don't think we've got the stuff for anything else at this stage. We did unlock the Mark II power poles at some point. I think I unlocked this smart splitter, but we just don't have all of the materials for this stuff at this point. And so we're kind of on pause at the moment. I did find some mycelia in a cave when I explored a little bit. We'll go see that here in a little bit as well. Mycelia is useful for creating some of the cloth type items like parachutes, and I believe also for some of the medical items. So let's take a look at this. We're gonna learn our improved melee combat here as well. So we're gonna go ahead and drop these into here. And of course I used up some of my copper wire somewhere, so I'll have to go grab just a couple more of those. Alright, we're back with our copper wire. Let's go ahead and get this improved melee combat going. And in addition to the inventory slots, the main reason I wanted to finish that before we head out on our adventure is to unlock this Xeno Basher. The Xeno Basher is an upgraded version of the Xeno Zapper, which we're using currently. Let's be honest, it looks a lot like a lightsaber. The other thing that we've unlocked at some point is this rebar gun. So we're going to go ahead and create one of those as well and see how this is going to work out for us. I don't remember it being particularly effective, but sometimes it's nice to just have a little bit of range capability to keep you from having to get up close and personal with some of the creatures out there. And so we'll go ahead and create the 30 some odd of these spiked rebar that we have left out of this stack of iron rods. That should do it. Let's go ahead and drag this all into our inventory. The additional hand slot is coming in handy here, and we should be all good to go at this stage. We've got all the research going that we can. We've loaded up the truck with everything we can think of, and we just have to remember to put our fuel in. So we should be able to use raw coal to power our tractor. It fires right up here, and away we go. Now, it's been a bit since we've driven this, so we're getting used to things. But what we're gonna do is follow this road down here a little ways. If we recall, I believe our coal is coming from right over there. And one thing you'll notice here is that these hostile creatures, if we were on foot, these guys would be attacking us right now. But because we are inside of the tractor, they're leaving us be for the time being. So we're going to head on across this land bridge here. And on the other side of this hill, you're gonna see that we come into this desert biome. And so right down there is where our coal power is sitting in the water. And so the awesome thing about this is there's a ton of resources here. And so if we just stop our truck here, I'm actually gonna grab these nuts and we're gonna go ahead and scan this area. And we're able to see that there's some coal over here. If we scan for iron, I'm pretty sure we're gonna find that there's some iron right over here as well, and likely some other resources. And so I think what we're gonna do is jump in our truck here and kind of head over here and see if we can identify where some of these nodes are. It looks like they're right down in this valley over here. So let's jump out here. We gotta pick up all the nuts when we find them. We're gonna stay away from those guys. I don't want to fight two nests of fire bugs right now. I do see that we've got a number of coal nodes down here. And so this is gonna be another great resource for us to bring into our base. And so at this point, we're kind of just looking for a large flat area in which to build. The immediate area here is a little bit bumpy. Not a wide area for building a base, but I'm kind of wondering if we head down over here along the water where our power plant is. You know, honestly, we could build something out over the water if we wanted to, and there's a lot of water area over here. So we're gonna head on down here and move along the water a bit. We've got what looks to be a spider of some kind there. I'm not overly happy about that. I think he probably chased me out of the caves at some point. And so we're gonna head over here to where we found the cave. And if we stop right here by this normal coal node, you can see our space elevator and our power station are right over there. And when I was out exploring, I'm pretty sure I just climbed up this cliff here as I was looking for the other nodes that I believe are up here, and came across this little cave right here. And the great thing with caves is that there are the great thing with caves is this is the best way to get mycelia. And so you're gonna see here, there's all these little mushrooms here all over in the caves, and you just grab them and you get a ton of this mycelia, and you don't really need that much of it, so I'm not gonna continue to pick up a lot of it. because I don't have a need for it and I don't want it taking up inventory space. You can use it as biofuel, but I don't recommend it because I'm not sure if it regenerates or not. It probably does. But the other thing that I came across as I went deeper into the cave here is that this goes on for a while and opens up into quite a large cavern here. And further into this cavern, there are a ton of acid-spitting spiders. And here they come. So we're going to run away, because we're definitely not looking forward to fighting a whole bunch of spiders. So with those revelations out of the way, we're gonna jump back on our trusty tractor here, and I think head down the coastline just a little bit. I want to see where, I want to see what's around the corner here and determine if that's gonna be a good spot for us to set up a base over this lake likely. At some point, we'll have to go up there and get that slug. Well, I wasn't expecting it to get that deep that quickly, and it looks like our tractor is stuck. It's submerged in water, and I can't get into it. And of course, we've filled it up with all of this stuff, meaning that we can't deconstruct it because we don't have enough inventory room to hold all the stuff. So what do you do when that happens? You fight off the monsters that are on the beach that you were immune to when you were in the truck. Apparently that scared them off. Oh, maybe not. He's coming for me. All right. I think those guys are dealt with. Let's go ahead and see if I can build a storage box on the beach here. And we're going to go ahead and just put that concrete in there for now. I do want to pick up these carapaces because we're going to need them at some point. And let's see if I can get the rest of this stuff out of the truck and put all of this concrete into this chest so that we can now hopefully deconstruct this truck and get our parts back. There we go. So with that unfortunate revelation, we're gonna just swim for a little bit here to get around the edge of the coast and head down the shoreline just a bit. I'm really kind of liking the idea of building out over the lake here. The water doesn't look overly deep here. I'm not sure if there's a way for me to go down underneath the water or not. I don't think this game is really designed for underwater dwelling. So let's head up here and see what's over the hill. We've got a whole bunch of bad things that are gonna come chasing after me. And now that we're down here, I'm not really seeing anything awesome from a building perspective. We've got lots of bad guys down here, though. We're trying to get to this green power slug. There we go. Maybe there's some oil down here somewhere. I can't recall. It's been a long time since we've been in Satisfactory, and I'll admit I'm just not that familiar with the map like I used to be. But I have to say this sword works so much better than our previous weapon. So I'm back over here by the lake, and honestly, what I'm worried about with setting up a base in this area would actually be how we're going to get additional resources into what's kind of a cramped area, to be honest. I mean, it is a wide area, but there's also just not a lot of space to bring materials into this area because we're kind of down in a valley. And so I don't think this is going to be a good fit for us. So let's come back down here near our crate. I want to make sure we're going to be able to get all of our stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and build our truck again. And with all of those materials loaded back up into the truck, let's go ahead and head back on out of the valley here and see if we can find another flatter spot. Back up out of that little valley area there. Let's continue down into the desert here a little bit. I'm kind of wondering about what's up on that plateau. If there's not a lot of resources in the way, that could be a pretty good spot for us, because we could always extend over onto this plateau here on the other side as well. So maybe we should stick to the road here and follow this along, see where it takes us. We've got a lot of these poison areas here, which is unfortunate. It's going to make walking around on foot a little bit difficult, and apparently also while driving through it is not a safe activity necessarily. This area up here, if cleared, could support a base. If we raised it up off of the terrain a little bit, we could definitely take down all these trees and kind of cover this whole area with a base. We've got lots of accessibility from different sides here, and so this is a definite possibility. I'm kind of curious if we head over here and drive up onto the plateau on the other side here just to see what's up here. So we're kind of up in that area. There's not a lot up here, but it's not nearly as flat as I was hoping it would be. And so I don't know that this is the best place for starting the base up here. It's a little bit higher than I'd like to be, and it's really uneven. And I think the last thing we want to check out is to head back across this land bridge and see if there's anywhere on the other side that would be suitable for building a base. So let's just head up this road a little ways and check out this area. Now this is looking mighty enticing. It's a fairly wide open spot on a little bit of a slant, but nothing too serious. We could definitely build around this. We're gonna hop out and grab this slug as long as we're here. I hear somebody that's unhappy. I guess we've got no need to fight them right now. So if we clear cut all of these trees up here out of the way, this is a nice, relatively flat area here. We could build a pretty decent sized base right up here and have lots of access to it. And so I think this is, out of the 3 spots we've kind of looked at and considered, a bit of a winner. It gets a little bit crazy over here on the outskirts, but I don't know that we would need to build in that direction. So we're gonna park here. Our truck ran out of fuel. I'm gonna drop that coal in there before we forget about it. And I'm gonna grab as much of this concrete as I can hold. We're gonna get our chainsaw out, and I think we're gonna head up here and start clearing. In hindsight, I should leave some inventory for the biomaterials real quick. Otherwise, we're just gonna waste all of this leaves and wood and such. Now, luckily, with the chainsaw, this is extremely easy. All right, so we have cleared a fairly large area here. Not 100%, but we've run out of inventory room here. So I think what we're gonna do is start slapping down some foundations. I am going to start with these deeper 4-meter deep foundations, because I want to make sure that as we set this all down, we're gonna be able to cover up all of the oddities in the terrain. So I'm gonna come up here to where I think the highest spot is that we've cleared. and just kind of taking a look to the left and right. I think this is going to be a good spot for us to start. And then I'm kind of taking a look at how the road is oriented to us. I want it to kind of line up along the road so that as we're driving down that big road, the building looks more or less squared along it, and it also is going to maximize the space here that we're able to use. And so I think this orientation here is going to be pretty good. I'm also looking from an east-west perspective. If I'm pointed straight east and this looks square to me, that means our buildings are going to kind of run along the map east-west, which would be pretty good. So let's start building some platforms here now that all that excitement is done. And this poor paleberry bush is gonna get covered up here at some point. At least it's not gonna get destroyed, but we don't currently have enough inventory room to pick it. And so I'm just extending our footprint out here a bit. I don't want bushes and stuff coming up through the floor, and so until I have enough inventory room to take those resources in, we're just building where we can. And at this point, I don't have any specific thought on how big this should be other than as big as possible. And so I'm just filling in all the areas that we can. And as we get this part done, we'll start clearing more areas of the trees around us. And I'll get a decent idea of how much space we have to work with here relatively quick. And that's going to allow me to start putting together some good base designs. The other nice thing about building structures here is that the monsters won't respawn within a certain distance to our structure, so I won't be continuing to fight those same guys off on a regular basis, which will be nice. And our truck happens to be a bit in the way here, and so we're gonna move that over here just to get it out of the way. And let's see if we are getting close. We've got a lot more concrete than we actually need, it looks like, which is not something to complain about. And so a couple of things that we need to get going here right out of the gate is I want to bring some power over from the base. And so let's go ahead and get a power pole Mark II stood up here on the corner. That's going to allow us to run some power here from the base and let us set up some temporary factories just to get things going until we get the base running full time for real. And so the wire is too long. We're going to try and keep this off of our road. So I'm going to run it right over here to the other side. And we're just going to continue our power infrastructure here right alongside the road. The resources are common, so I don't need to try and go too far here. I just want to keep it all nice and tidy. And in fact, we're going to do this just to hop over the gap so that we can drive under it, hopefully without any problems. And I just don't like my wires clipping through the terrain if I can help it, so we're trying to pay attention to all of those little things. And there we go. We've now theoretically got power running out to this, so if I push E, we've got our main power grid hooked up, which is awesome. And so we might as well drop those here into the bin as long as we're here. The same with our mycelia. We are going to make the power shards real quick as long as we have these slugs. There's no other use for them at this point in the game. And I've just been storing all of our power shards here, so we've collected a total of 10 power shards, which is actually really good. And it looks like we've previously found some motors, so I'm going to go ahead and dump the motors, probably the heavy modular frames and the encased industrial beams in here. Beams. As these are items that we can't currently craft ourselves, so we're not going to probably be using them for much. We're going to hang on to our biomaterials because I think we are going to set up a constructor just to turn those into biofuel. We can definitely leverage those for different things, whether that's powering our chainsaw or the truck while we're moving around out here, since we don't currently have immediate access to coal all the way out here at the new base just yet. And we can use our handy dandy zip line to get on up here into the base, which is super nice. And let's go ahead and get a constructor set up over here. I'm gonna actually start it all the way over here in the corner, and we're gonna put a storage container right over here and another storage container coming out of this one, essentially to allow us to create biomass here. So we'll set this one up as leaves. It's going to take 120 per minute coming in. And so we're going to use a conveyor belt Mark II to bring it in. I'm going to put all of the leaves into there. And we're going to hook it up to our power line. And then we can run a Mark I back out of this. And that should be good to go here. 120 in, 60 per minute out. And we'll turn all of that into biomass here shortly. And then we can just keep changing that thing around for our kind of semi-manual production while we're working on the base here. So now that we've got that going and we have some inventory room, I'm going to pick the couple of pale berries here that we saw, and I'm going to not destroy those. I'm going to simply place our foundations over them, so they'll still technically be there. I'm not sure I'll ever remember they're there, but if we're ever in need of a pale berry, I guess this one will be poking up through a little bit for us. We're going to go ahead and cut down the rest of this. We're going to pick these by hand so we don't inadvertently take that pale berry out. And we're just going to start filling this area out. And just like that, we've got this platform all squared off. So let's take a measure of how big we've gotten it so far. Keeping in mind, we've got a fair amount that way that we can go. And we can kind of move around this rock from a building perspective. And as always, you can build up in Satisfactory. In fact, it's a game quite designed for building up. So we've got, let's count the width of this thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 currently. Kind of irks me. I want to make it 10. So I'm going to put one down here so I know it's 10, and then we'll just count as we go down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we'll definitely have to do something with this as well, because 13's just not going to work for me. So we'll do a 14, 15, I think. And we'll just bring these right out here as well. And just like that, we've got a 10 by 15 platform that we could definitely expand this way to make it 15 by 15, giving us a more square structure if I wanted. And coming over here, oh yeah, we've got plenty of room to expand this way at this height. And so we're going to keep this thing at 10 by 15 to start with. and start figuring out and planning exactly what we want to do with this space. But now we have found a spot that has more than enough space for us to kind of grow and expand here. And we've got already our first production facility here in the new factory, creating biomass from leaves. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode. It was a little bit of exploration and learning. Next episode, we'll have progressed on this factory a little bit, and we'll talk about plans for setting up your permanent factory and things to consider when laying that out. If you have enjoyed today's episode, hit that like button. It helps support the channel. That's all for today. Keterk out.